So anyways, having those different scenery dividers will give me more, like if I want to do photographs and stuff, it'll also help me to open it up, make the railroad seem a lot bigger than it is, even though it's only 4x8. I do have 18-inch radius curves, which gives me more room for my more length of industry here, and it also gives me more room for more tracks here and here to have the 18-inch radius curves, which the GP38-2 shouldn't have a problem with that. That's part of the reason why I made this the quarry on this side of the railroad, because most of the cars that will actually be traveling around the curves will be the aggregate cars, so, and ballast hoppers and stuff that will get loaded over here. So it won't look so bad having those 18-inch radius curves there. You can see I do have, sorry about that, I do have a full loop of road because I do plan on doing the faller car system or some type of a road type of thing. I'll have little cars drive around the road. There's like 6 grade crossings, so that'll keep me busy as far as setting that up. This grade crossing here is actually not going to be fully glued down, and I'll go into that later why that is. Down here at the bottom I have it's like an abandoned track with an old dining car that's a working modern diner. Over here I have Wayside Propane, which is a rail to road transfer point for propane, and it is part of the interchange track, so that will be like a live loading transfer point for the propane cars, and then the propane cars, once they're unloaded, will be stored back in the interchange track. There's the road here for the grain trucks. I'm going to probably try to get some grain trucks and set this up like the way the Faller car system has the bus stop. I don't know if anybody's watched any videos about that, but there's a way on the Faller car system to make one or certain vehicles just veer off and then stop at like a stop, and that's what I'm going to do here at the granary. So the cars and trucks will be traveling around, and then the grain truck will get to here, and the grain truck will go in, it'll stop on the scales, and it'll pull forward and stop and dump. I'll have like some type of a sound thing going. I have worked it on a farm before, so I know a little bit about how the whole granary thing works. Right here we have 2 grain bins for storage of wet corn, which is then dried and then fed through underground pipes to the grain elevator, where it is lifted up and it goes into the main storage bins. Then when it's time to load the freight cars, underground pipes again lifted up in the elevator, goes to these over track storage tanks, which weigh the grain to make sure that just the right amount of grain is going into each freight car. There's a lot of areas. I tried to focus it not to be too busy, so I have areas like this that's just scenery, grass, and then corn and everything. On the quarry, on the backdrop of the quarry is actually going to be, it's going to look like you're looking down into the rim of a quarry if you're looking this way on the layout. And then there's going to be conveyor belts coming up to piles of gravel, and there'll be like a front end loader that will load the ballast hoppers and aggregate cars on this track, on that track right there. And then over here will be for cement hoppers and sand hoppers, because it's an aggregate plant over here. And that will add some unique operation, having the front end loaders actually, really little remote control, 187 scale remote controlled front end loaders loading the cars of gravel, and then pulling them out by train. So there'll be a lot of possibility for operations in just this small 2 foot by 4 foot quadrant here, this layout. And then in Indiana, there's a lot of little groves of trees, so I use these groves of trees kind of as scenery dividers. So like any shots that are taken, you might only see one piece of track, and you won't. It'll help to break up the view for photos and stuff. Excuse me. Down in the town, we have all the little shops. We have some parallel parking. We have ice cream shop, because I love ice cream, period. There's a little trash bin there. Can't forget those details. Casey's General Store is iconic of Indiana. You can't go to Indiana and not see a Casey's General Store / gas station. And there will be another type of little island for the cars to pull in and get gas, and also there's a little fueling station there for the fuel tank, or for the fuel truck, I should say, to fill up the gas station, and that should add that will be a really unique setup, because I might also have this propane, I might change it to like a transloading facility for fuel. I might do that, I'm not sure. So that's that. You can see the T-style backdrop, and I'm going to show you how, even though this is divided here, that when I separate these apart, it'll offer me expandability. Right, so over here I have kind of like a mock-up of what my layout's going to be on some foam board. I drew this wrong over here where the quarry is. As you can see, the split is actually up here by the road. But as I said, this piece of track is going to be removable so that I can adjust to, basically I'll make another quadrant of layout that will look just like this. And then I'll be able to separate this apart. And then what that'll do is that'll make the aggregate plant larger. It'll make the quarry larger. It'll just like it'll be like a whole nother piece of railroad that will literally fit in here like this. And then it'll make the railroad bigger. Obviously, it will have to interface and work with the track that's already there. And then the same thing on this side, where I'll be able to set this up where I can make, my interchange track gets longer. I could have a double runaround track that will make this better for like bridge line service. And then I can also have another separate industry. So then I'll have 2 or 3 industries in the town instead of just the one industry, well, the 2 including the grain. And then the other thing that I can also do is I can expand this out like this, and I can make the granary longer. So that will give me a lot more capacity for more grain cars. And then if I expand, if I do both little expansion tricks at the same time, then my layout begins to look like this. Then, I have a lot bigger area of operations, and it gets even better than this. So I can, if I want to do an around the wall layout, I can actually put these layout pieces together. And because I specifically made the track to be the same distance away from the edge of the layout, I can still service the quarry and the aggregate plant off of here. And if I'm still expanding this out, if you can imagine this being still expanded out even more, so we have that longer quarry. So we have this huge long mainline run. And then I plan on building some just separate curve modules that will just connect it, and then it'll go around the rest of the room. And depending on what size the room is, I'll make 6-inch wide modules that will connect together and bolt like shelves onto the wall, so the train can continue around the room, and then it'll just interface with the layout on one side of the room. Or I could also separate the layout and have the layout be like this, where you have one side of the layout on one side of the room, the other side of the layout on the other side of the room, and you just have 6-inch wide shelf in between the layout. And then another thing that I can do yet on top of that is that I can turn the layout around. If I can do this. So I can turn the layout around like this. Let's say I want to run longer trains on the layout. The interface module that I can put here can be just industries, and then these curved tracks become industry tracks. And then I'll have 26-inch radius module connecting this out here. So then you literally just have a longer grain industry here, and then you have your main line coming out here. going around. So there's just like endless possibilities for how you can actually work these together. And it wouldn't work as well with the fallen car system to do this, but I have thought I can also, you know, set it up like this if I wanted to, where, you know, if I had to do an around the wall layout like that, and it basically just continue to, basically what I'm saying is that the possibilities would be pretty limitless as far as how this could work together. You could also set it up like this and have your 26-inch radius curve here, and then this would be an industry or a staging or something. It could be anything. But there's like limitless ways that you can set it up, because you can do a lot with a 2 foot by 4 foot module. And really all you need is just a simple standard for just one end track. Like, you don't need dual main lines or anything like that. Although this would be nice to connect up. You could, if you had a dual main line or made this a passing siding and then you had a separate runaround track here, that would be freaking awesome. You could do it like that. But over here, just basically we're just making it so that everything can connect together in any way that I would want it to. And I even made it so that these tracks are the same distance apart. So not that this would ever happen, but if I wanted to put those together like that, it works the same way. It just, obviously you wouldn't be able to service the industries. But the idea behind this is, if I wanted to make another separate town module and fit it in there, there's already a standard in place for how this track is going to connect here, these tracks are going to connect here, this track's going to connect here. So there's pretty much limitless possibilities of what you want to do with the layout at that point. So that's pretty much where I'm at on my track plan. I'm probably going to make part 2, is if this isn't split into a 2-part video, it might be split into a 2-part video. Actually, it probably will, considering how long it is. But part 2 will be, or video 2. This is part 2, I guess. But the next set of video or 2 videos will be building the layout. It will be building the solid bench work, because I'll explain it in the next video. But I've learned some lessons over the last 2 layouts that I built over the last 2 years that I've been here, and some things that I like and some things that I don't like. So I'm going to cover those, especially regarding the whole modular layout idea and what's best, and what's working best for me. Not necessarily what's best, but just what's working best for me. I hope you liked the video. If you have any ideas about the track plan, or would want, you know, a copy of the track plan or anything like that, I can email a copy of the track plan. And if you like the modular idea, let me know. If you have any input ideas on more possible scenarios for the modular idea, let me know about that. Anybody else out there that's watching, that's modeling the Indiana Railroad, just be interesting to network. As always, thanks to the YouTube community, Model Railroaders. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and enjoy.